The water is so cold it feels like burning. She slides off the rubber boat, and the sea closes over her head, and for one terrible moment, she forgets which way is up. Her lungs scream. Her limbs move without her permission. Then she breaks the surface, gasping, and the night air cuts her throat like glass. The boat is already gone. She watches it dissolve into the darkness, the silhouette of the man with the oars fading, until there is nothing but waves and wind and the vast black emptiness of the channel. He did not look back. He was instructed not to look back. She was instructed not to expect him to look back. Instructions mean nothing when you are alone in the water with the coast of France, still 200 meters away, and your clothes soaking up the cold like sponge soaking up blood. She swims. She was a ballerina once. Ballerinas do not swim. Ballerinas do not parachute into occupied territory. Ballerinas do not have cyanide capsules hidden inside hollowed-out molars. But the girl who danced at the Kirov died 6 months ago in a windowless room on Lubyanka Square. And the woman who crawls onto the rocks of the French coast at 3 a.m. has never danced a single step in her life. The rocks cut her hands. She feels nothing. The cold has stolen her nerves, along with her name and her past, and everything she was before the men in leather coats came to her apartment and showed her the photograph of her mother. She lies on the beach for a full minute, face down, breathing. The pebbles press into her cheek. A small part of her mind, the part that still remembers being human, notices that they smell like salt and seaweed and something dead nearby. The rest of her mind is empty. They trained the rest of her mind to be empty. Empty vessels cross borders easily. Empty vessels do not panic when the patrol dogs start barking. Empty vessels bite down on the capsule and die in 3 seconds and take nothing with them. She pushes herself up. Her hands are bleeding. She wipes them on her coat, the worn wool coat that belonged to a dead woman in Moscow. A woman who looked enough like her to be her sister but was not her sister. Was just a corpse they found in a hospital and stripped of her identity and her papers and her life so that Anna could become someone else. The coast rises before her. Dark rocks, darker grass, a sky without stars. Somewhere beyond that ridge is France. Somewhere beyond France is Paris. Somewhere in Paris is a man she has never met, who will introduce her to another man she has never met, who will eventually, if she survives long enough, and lies well enough, and gives enough of her body to enough of the right people, lead her to the German officer who builds walls. She begins to walk. Her shoes are ruined. Water pours from them with every step. She should remove them, wring them out, save them for the journey ahead. She does not stop. Stopping is death. Sitting is death. Thinking about anything except the next step is death. They drilled this into her for 6 months. Keep moving, keep breathing, keep being empty. The ridge is steeper than it looked. She climbs on hands and knees, the wet rocks slippery, her fingers finding holds that are not there, her body sliding backward, climbing again, sliding again, until finally she reaches the top and collapses into wet grass and lies there, chest heaving, making sounds that are not quite sobs and not quite laughter and not quite anything a human throat should make. Below her, in the valley, a village sleeps. She sees roofs, a church spire, a single light burning in a single window. Someone is awake. Someone is always awake. A mother with a sick child. A priest saying prayers. A German soldier with insomnia and a machine gun. Staring out at the coast, where no one would be foolish enough to land on a night like this. She watches the light for 5 minutes. 10. She counts her breaths. She touches her cheek with one torn hand, feels the shape of her face beneath the skin, the jawbone, the tooth, where the capsule waits. It tastes like nothing. They told her it would taste like bitter almonds when she bit down. They told her many things. They told her the capsule would work even if she was unconscious. They told her the capsule would work even if she was underwater. They told her the capsule would work even if she was already dying, already shot, already captured and beaten and screaming for her mother. It would still work. 3 seconds. Bitter almonds. Peace. She has imagined biting down 1,000 times. She imagined it in the training cell when they left her alone for 3 days without food or light. She imagined it on the plane when they flew her to the submarine base. She imagined it in the rubber boat when the man with the oars looked at her and did not speak. She imagines it now, lying in wet grass above an occupied village, watching a light burn in a single window. She does not want to die. This is the first real thought she has had in 6 months. She does not want to die. She wants to see her mother again. She wants to dance again, just once, in a real theater with real lights and real music and an audience that does not know her name. She wants to be warm. She wants to sleep in a bed without listening for footsteps on the stairs. She wants to be the girl she was before the men in leather coats came to her apartment and showed her the photograph and told her that mothers of traitors do not eat well in wartime. The light in the village goes out. She stands. Her legs shake. Her hands shake. Her entire body shakes with cold and fear and the terrible weight of being alive when she was trained to be empty. She walks down toward the village because there is nowhere else to go. The road finds her feet. The road takes her past fields and fences and a burned-out truck that still smells of smoke, even though the rain has fallen on it for weeks. The village has no name that she can see, just houses, dark, a church with a broken bell, a single cafe with shuttered windows and a German sign on the door. She walks through the main street, her wet shoes making soft sounds on the cobblestones. A dog barks somewhere. Another dog answers. Then silence. She finds the priest's house by the cross on the door. She knocks. She waits. She knocks again. The door opens a crack. An old man's face, pale in the darkness, eyes wide with fear. He sees her, a woman alone, dripping wet, bleeding, and something in his face changes. Fear becomes something else. Pity? Recognition? She does not know. She speaks in French. Perfect French with a Russian accent. The accent of someone who left Russia as a child and never quite lost the music of her first language. She tells him she is lost. She tells him she was visiting her aunt in the next village but took the wrong road and her car broke down. And she walked, and she is so cold, so terribly cold. He opens the door wider. He does not believe her. She sees it in his eyes. He knows a lie when he hears one. This old priest in an occupied village, where lies are the only currency anyone has left. But he lets her in anyway. He gives her bread and coffee. He asks no questions. She sits in his kitchen, warming her hands on the cup, and watches the light creep over the rooftops through his small window. Church bells ring. Somewhere a dog barks. Life continues in occupied France. The bread is stale. The coffee is mostly chicory. It is the best thing she has ever tasted. She finishes. She thanks him. She walks to the train station and buys a ticket to Paris, with money from the seam of her coat. The train is crowded with German soldiers. They are young, most of them. Boys in uniforms too big for them, rifles between their knees, staring out the windows at a country they do not understand. She finds a seat by the window, folds her hands in her lap, and watches the French countryside roll past. Fields, farms, villages, all gray under the November sky. She sees a burned-out tank by the roadside. French or British, she cannot tell. Dead metal, rusting in the rain. A child stands beside it, watching the train pass. He cannot be more than 10 years old. He raises his hand. Not a wave. Something else. A gesture she does not recognize. Then the train carries her past him, and he is gone. She thinks about the capsule in her tooth. She runs her tongue over it, a small roughness against the smooth enamel. She can feel it now, always, a constant presence, a reminder that she is not a person anymore. She is a weapon, and weapons do not get to choose when they are used. The train approaches Paris. The city spreads out before her, gray and beautiful, the Eiffel Tower rising in the distance like a skeleton against the sky. German flags hang from every public building. She sees them as the train slows, red and white and black, the swastika twisting in the wind, and for a moment she cannot breathe. Not fear, not anger, something worse. Recognition. This is what victory looks like. This is what defeat looks like. This is what the world looks like when the wrong people win. She has seen it before, in another country, in another life. She was a child then. She is not a child now. The train stops. She steps onto the platform at the Gare de l'Est. The noise hits her first. Voices, footsteps, announcements in French and German, the hiss of steam, the slam of doors, then the smell. Coal smoke, coffee, perfume, sweat, and underneath it all, something that has no name but she recognizes instantly. Fear. It hangs in the air like fog, invisible but everywhere, the way people move quickly, eyes down, shoulders tight, the way they do not look at each other, the way they do not look at the German patrols, the way they do not look at anything at all. She walks through the station. A German patrol passes. 4 soldiers, 1 officer. The officer glances at her, glances away. She is nothing. A woman in a worn coat with a tired face and wet shoes. There are thousands like her in Paris. There are millions like her in Europe. She is invisible because she is ordinary, and ordinary is safe. Outside, the city waits. Paris, in 1941. Gray buildings, gray skies, gray faces, bicycles everywhere, almost no cars. People in queues outside shops, waiting for bread, waiting for coal, waiting for news, waiting for the war to end, waiting for something they cannot name. She joins the flow of pedestrians, anonymous, invisible, one more tired woman in a worn coat walking toward a destination no one cares about. She has an address, a small hotel in the 6th arrondissement, a room paid for through intermediaries, registered to Sofia Alexandrovna Volkonskaya, Russian émigré, returned to France after years in Switzerland. She walks there through the cold afternoon, memorizing streets, noting German headquarters, watching the way people look at each other and then look away. A woman screams somewhere. She stops. Everyone stops. The scream comes again, from a building across the street, a sound so full of pain and terror that it seems to tear the air apart. Then a gunshot. Then silence. No one moves. The people on the street stand frozen, staring at nothing, staring at their shoes, staring at the sky. No one looks at the building. No one speaks. After a long moment, the flow of pedestrians resumes, faster now, eyes even more fixed on the ground, as if nothing has happened, as if screaming and gunshots are just part of the weather in occupied Paris. Anna continues walking. She reaches the hotel. Small, dingy, perfect. The patron barely glances at her papers, hands her a key, goes back to her newspaper. Room 7, third floor, shared bath at the end of the hall. The stairs are narrow. The carpet is worn through in places. She climbs past doors with numbers painted in flaking gold, past sounds of coughing and crying and a radio playing German music, past the smell of boiled cabbage and something worse, something that might be death, or might just be the smell of people living too close together for too long. Room 7. She unlocks the door. She steps inside. She locks the door behind her. The room is tiny. A bed, a wardrobe, a washstand, a window overlooking a gray courtyard. The wallpaper is stained. The ceiling is cracked. The radiator hisses and clanks but gives almost no heat. She stands in the center of the room, dripping onto the worn floorboards, and does not move for a very long time. Then she sits on the bed. She does not cry. She has forgotten how. But something happens inside her chest, something that feels like crying would feel if she still remembered the shape of it. A cracking, a breaking, a small death. She reaches into her mouth. Her finger finds the tooth, the hollow one, the one with the capsule. She presses against it, feels it give slightly, feels the tiny mechanism that will release the poison when she bites down. It would be so easy. One moment of pressure, and it would all be over. The cold, the fear, the mission, the mother in Leningrad who will die in a frozen apartment if Anna fails, if Anna dies, if Anna does not do exactly what she was sent here to do. She takes her finger out of her mouth. She looks at the leather pouch on the washstand, the compact, the lipstick, the cigarettes, tools of her new trade, instruments of her new life. She will need them tomorrow. She will need them every day until she succeeds, or until she bites down and tastes bitter almonds in a Gestapo basement. She lies back on the bed. The ceiling is cracked. The cracks form patterns she does not want to read. Outside, a church bell tolls 6 times. The city darkens. Somewhere in Berlin, men are drawing lines on maps. Somewhere on the coast, workers are pouring concrete for a wall that will span the Atlantic. Somewhere in Moscow, a man named Grigory is reporting that the agent known as Sparrow has been successfully deployed. She closes her eyes. The capsule waits behind her tooth. She does not sleep. But she does not bite down either. Not yet. 3 days she waits in the room. 3 days of staring at cracked ceilings and stained wallpaper. 3 days of eating bread so hard it cuts her gums and soup so thin she can see the bottom of the bowl through it. 3 days of listening to the sounds through the walls, the coughing, the crying, the German music on the radio, the soft, terrible sounds of people trying not to be heard. On the 4th morning, she puts on the dead woman's clothes. The dress is navy blue, modest, expensive once, but now carefully maintained to look like the best a poor aristocrat can manage. The shoes are nearly new, a gift from the Lubyanka, because shoes must be good if you are going to walk into the lion's den. The coat is the same worn wool from the beach, but she has brushed it and mended the torn hem, and now it looks merely shabby, rather than desperate. She looks in the small mirror above the washstand. Sofia Alexandrovna Volkonskaya looks back at her. The resemblance is not accidental. They chose the dead woman because she shared Anna's bone structure, her coloring, her approximate age. They forged the papers with photographs of Anna in the dead woman's clothing, in the dead woman's apartment, wearing the dead woman's jewelry. They spent 6 months turning Anna into a ghost. And now the ghost is ready to walk among the living. She touches her cheek. The tooth. Always the tooth. She leaves the room. The patron is reading her newspaper in the lobby. The same newspaper she has been reading for 3 days because news does not change in occupied Paris. It just repeats itself with different names of dead soldiers. She glances up, nods, goes back to her reading. Anna steps out into the street. The cold hits her like a hand. It is December now. The sky is the color of dirty snow. People hurry past with their heads down, their breath forming small clouds that disappear almost instantly. Bicycles ring their bells. A German truck rumbles past, soldiers in the back, rifles pointing at nothing. She walks. The city unfolds around her like a wound. Beautiful buildings with German signs, elegant shops with empty windows, cafes where officers sit drinking coffee while Frenchmen stand outside in the cold, watching. She passes a theater with a poster advertising a ballet. The dancers are French, the poster says, performing for French audiences. The German censors have approved it. The German censors approve everything now. She does not stop. The Russian émigré church on Rue Daru is a small building tucked between larger ones, its golden dome rising modestly above the rooftops. She stands across the street for a full minute, watching. People enter, people leave, ordinary people, old people, women in black, men with canes. No one looks like a German agent. No one looks like anything except what they are. Russians who cannot go home, who have made a new home here, who pray in their own language and pretend that the country they left never existed. She crosses the street. Inside, the church is warm. Candles burn. Incense hangs in the air like memory. An old priest chants in Slavonic, the language of her childhood, the language she was supposed to forget. She stands in the back, head bowed, hands folded, and lets the sound wash over her. She does not pray. She was trained not to pray. Prayer is for people who believe someone is listening. She believes in nothing now except the capsule in her tooth and the photograph of her mother, hidden in the lining of her coat, and the mission that will either save them both or kill them both. After the service, she waits outside. The man approaches her as she knew he would, middle-aged, well-dressed, with the careful grooming of someone who has not given up on civilization, even as civilization crumbles around him. He introduces himself as Dmitri Volkov. He knew her father, he says. Or rather, he knew Sophia's father, the imaginary prince who died in exile and left his imaginary daughter with nothing but memories and good manners. She plays her role. She is shy, grateful, slightly overwhelmed by the city after years in quiet Switzerland. She speaks of her father with tears in her eyes, tears she has practiced in front of the mirror until they come exactly when they should. Dmitri Volkov is kind. Dmitri Volkov is helpful. Dmitri Volkov is exactly what the Lubyanka promised he would be. A connector, a facilitator, a man who knows everyone and introduces everyone and asks no questions because he is too busy being important. He invites her to tea. They go to a small cafe near the church, the kind of place where Russians gather to pretend they are still in Petersburg. The tea is weak. The cakes are made from substitutes. But the conversation is warm, and Dmitri introduces her to other Russians, older ones, women with diamonds on their fingers and fear in their eyes, men who once owned land and now own nothing but memories. They accept her. Why would they not? She is one of them. She has the right accent, the right manners, the right sadness in her eyes. She speaks of a Switzerland that exists only in Lubyanka files, of a childhood that never happened, of a father who was invented by men in leather coats. They nod. They understand. They too have invented themselves, have become people they were not, have learned to smile when they want to scream. The days pass. She attends more services. She goes to more teas. She is invited to dinners, to salons, to gatherings where Russians talk about the old country and the new war and the terrible Germans, who are, after all, better than the Bolsheviks. She meets a woman whose son is working for the German administration. She meets a man whose cousin is translating for the Wehrmacht. She meets a general who remembers her imaginary father from the Imperial Army and weeps at the memory. She is perfect. The Lubyanka trained her well. She never slips. She never hesitates. She is Sofia Volkonskaya in every word, every gesture, every glance. She even dreams in Sofia's voice now, when she dreams at all, which is rarely, because sleep is dangerous, and dreams are evidence, and evidence kills. But at night, alone in her tiny room, she stares at the cracked ceiling and remembers. She remembers her mother's hands, knitting by the window in Leningrad. She remembers the theater, the lights, the moment before the music starts, when everything is possible. She remembers the men in leather coats, their faces empty, their voices flat, showing her the photograph and telling her that mothers of traitors do not eat well in wartime. She remembers biting down on nothing, practicing the motion, feeling the imaginary capsule break between her teeth. She does not sleep. January comes, the cold deepens, the city grows hungrier. She sees children with hollow cheeks, old women selling their last possessions on street corners, men arrested for no reason and dragged away, while their wives scream. She sees all of this and feels nothing, because feeling is fatal, and she is already dead, has been dead since the night she left Leningrad, has been dead since she became Sofia Volkonskaya. Dmitry Volkov invites her to a salon at the apartment of a woman named Madame Fournier. Madame Fournier is not Russian. She is French, wealthy, connected, the widow of an industrialist who made his fortune in steel and left her enough money to survive the occupation comfortably. She collects artists and writers and musicians, hosts evenings where they can pretend that art still matters, that culture still exists, that the Germans at the door are just guests who have overstayed their welcome. The apartment is on the Ile Saint-Louis, in a building that has stood for 300 years. Anna climbs the stairs past paintings of ancestors who were not her ancestors, past furniture that cost more than her mother will earn in a lifetime, past servants who look through her as if she were already a ghost. The salon is crowded, women in silk, men in uniform, French uniforms, the uniforms of collaborators, the uniforms of men who have chosen comfort over country. A pianist plays something sad and beautiful. A poet reads something about hope. Everyone claps, everyone smiles, everyone pretends that the world outside these walls does not exist. Anna moves through the room like water. She speaks to a woman whose husband runs a factory that builds parts for German trucks. She speaks to a man whose newspaper prints German propaganda in French. She speaks to a young officer in the milice, the French paramilitary, that hunts Jews and resistors. And he tells her how grateful France should be for German protection, and she nods and smiles and thinks about how easy it would be to kill him, how satisfying. How quick. She does not kill him. She is not here to kill. She is here to wait, to watch, to become the person that someone will trust, with secrets. And then she sees him. He stands by the window, alone, looking out at the Seine. German uniform, but not the black of the SS, not the field gray of the Wehrmacht. Something else. Engineering Corps. A major, she thinks, though the insignia are hard to read in the dim light. He holds a glass of wine but does not drink it. He stares at the river as if it holds answers to questions he has not asked yet. She knows him, not him personally, but his type. She studied files on men like him for 6 months. The technical specialists, the builders, the men who do not care about politics, who just want to do their jobs, who believe that concrete and steel are more important than ideology. They are the ones who talk. They are the ones who show their work to pretty women because they are proud of what they build, and they do not understand that pride is a weapon. She walks toward him, not directly. She is too skilled for that. She drifts in his direction, pausing to speak to others, to admire a painting, to accept a glass of wine she will not drink. She lets him see her without seeming to see him. She lets him notice her without knowing he has noticed. He notices. His eyes follow her as she moves. She feels them on her back, on her neck, on her face when she turns. She does not look at him. Not yet. She lets him watch, lets him wonder, lets him begin the work of wanting before she gives him anything to want. The pianist finishes. People applaud. Madame Fournier announces supper. Anna finds herself seated near the German officer. Coincidence. She has engineered this coincidence with the precision of a surgeon. He introduces himself. Major Klaus von Ritter. He speaks French with an accent, but good French, educated French. He asks about her. She tells him about Switzerland, about her father, about her loneliness in a city that is not her city. He listens. He actually listens. Most men do not listen. They wait for their turn to speak. But von Ritter listens, asks questions, remembers details. He is interested in her. He is interested in Russia, in ballet, in the life of an émigré who has lost everything. He tells her about his own life, about his family in Bavaria, about his work building things that will last for generations. He does not say what he builds. She does not ask. Not yet. Asking is for later, when trust has grown, when he has convinced himself that she is safe, that she is special, that she is the one person in occupied Paris who truly understands him. The evening ends. He asks if he can see her again. She hesitates, just enough, just the right amount. The hesitation of a proper woman who does not want to seem eager. Then she agrees. Tea, she says. Next week. She gives him the address of a cafe near her hotel. A cafe where no one will ask questions, where no one will remember. He smiles. His smile is warm, genuine, almost boyish. She sees in it the man he was before the war, before the uniform, before he became part of the machine that is eating Europe. She sees his humanity, and for a moment, just a moment, she hates him for it. It would be easier if he were a monster. Monsters are easy to betray. He is not a monster. He is just a man doing his job, building his wall, believing that concrete and steel can protect his country from the enemies that surround it. He is just a man who noticed a pretty woman at a party and wants to see her again. She walks home through the cold streets. The capsule in her tooth feels larger tonight, heavier, more present. She runs her tongue over it as she walks, feeling the tiny mechanism that will end everything. She thinks about von Ritter's smile, his questions, his genuine interest in her imaginary life. She thinks about what she will have to do to him, what she will have to become, what parts of herself she will have to kill to get what she needs. She reaches her hotel. The patron is asleep in her chair, the newspaper fallen to the floor. Anna climbs the stairs past the sounds of coughing and crying, and the German music that never stops. She unlocks her door. She locks it behind her. She sits on the bed and does not move. The cracked ceiling stares down at her. The cracks form patterns, faces, shapes that mean nothing. She lies back and closes her eyes and tries to remember what it felt like to be human, to be Anna, to be the girl who danced and laughed and loved without calculating the cost. She cannot remember. That girl is dead. She died in Lubyanka, in the windowless room where they taught her to be empty. What walks in her body now is something else, something useful, something that smiles at German officers and means it, means every smile, because the smiles are weapons, and weapons do not feel. She touches her cheek. The tooth waits. She does not sleep. She never sleeps anymore. The cafe is small, warm, filled with the smell of fake coffee and real desperation. She arrives early. She always arrives early. Early means she can choose the table, the seat, with her back to the wall, the view of the door, the escape route through the kitchen. Early means she can watch him arrive, watch him before he watches her, learn something from the way he moves through the world when he thinks no one is looking. He arrives exactly on time. German punctuality. She files this away, adds it to the growing collection of details that will eventually become a portrait, a map, a weapon. He is wearing civilian clothes today, a good suit, slightly old-fashioned, the suit of a man who does not think much about clothes. He looks uncomfortable without his uniform, like a soldier playing dress-up in his father's wardrobe. He sees her. He smiles. That same warm, boyish smile that made her hate him the first time. She smiles back. They drink their fake coffee. They talk about nothing. The weather, the city, the difficulty of finding real bread, real butter, real anything in Paris these days. He complains about the shortages, the bureaucracy, the endless paperwork that comes with building anything in a country that does not want you to build. She listens. She nods. She asks questions that seem innocent, but are not. He answers them all. He tells her about his office near the Invalides, about his colleagues, about the endless meetings with French contractors who promise everything and deliver nothing. He tells her about the cold in his apartment, the difficulty of finding coal, the loneliness of being a foreigner in a city that does not want foreigners. He tells her these things because she listens, because she seems to understand, because she is the first person in months who has looked at him like a human being instead of a uniform. She is good at this. The Lubyanka trained her well. She knows exactly when to lean forward, exactly when to look away, exactly when to touch her cup and let her fingers linger on the porcelain so that he notices her hands, her wrists, the delicate bones that were made for dancing. She knows how to make a man feel seen, feel understood, feel like he is the only person in the room who matters. He asks about her. She tells him about Switzerland, about the boarding school where she learned French, about the tiny apartment in Geneva, where she lived with her imaginary father until he died. She tells him about coming to Paris with nothing but memories and a few pieces of jewelry that she has been slowly selling to survive. She tells him about her loneliness, her fear, her hope that somewhere in this city there might be a place for her, a purpose, a reason to keep going. Her eyes glisten. She has practiced this. The tears come exactly when they should. Not too many, not too few. Just enough to make her seem vulnerable without seeming weak. He reaches across the table. His hand touches hers. She does not pull away. The touch lasts 3 seconds. She counts. 3 seconds of skin against skin, warm, dry, careful. Then he pulls back, embarrassed, afraid he has overstepped. She smiles, forgiving him, thanking him, telling him without words that his touch was welcome. They walk together after the cafe. The streets are cold, gray, filled with people who have nowhere to go and nothing to do but walk. They walk along the Seine, past the bookstalls that are mostly empty now, past the bridges where German soldiers stand guard, past the lovers who still find ways to love even in the middle of occupation. He takes her arm. She lets him. His body is warm against hers, a small island of heat in the frozen city. He talks about his home in Bavaria. He talks about the mountains, the lakes, the forests where he hunted as a boy. He talks about his mother, who writes him letters every week, letters full of news about the garden and the neighbors and the cats who have taken over the barn. He talks about his father who died in the last war, who never got to see his son become an engineer, build things, make something of himself. She listens. She files everything away, the mother's name, the father's death, the cats in the barn, details that might matter, might not, might become something useful if she needs to manipulate him, to reach him, to find the cracks in his armor. But something else happens while she listens, something she did not expect. She starts to see him, not as a target, not as a mission, not as a means to an end. She starts to see him as a person, a lonely person, far from home, doing a job he does not entirely believe in, missing his mother and his mountains, and the life he had before the war. She starts to see the sadness behind his smile, the doubt behind his certainty, the humanity behind the uniform. This is dangerous. This is the most dangerous thing that has happened since she landed on that beach. She was trained to see targets, not people. She was trained to feel nothing, to be empty, to use her body and her mind as weapons without letting her heart interfere. Feeling is fatal. Caring is death. She knows this. She knew this when she agreed to become Sofia Volkonskaya. But knowing does not stop the feeling. She pulls her arm away, gently, carefully, so he does not notice. She needs space. She needs to breathe. She needs to remember who she is and what she is and why she is here. He does not notice. He is still talking about Bavaria, about the sound of cowbells in summer, about the taste of fresh bread from his mother's oven. He is lost in memory, in the comfort of home, in the illusion that he is just a man walking with a woman on a cold afternoon. She hates him again. Not for his uniform, not for his country, not for the wall he is building. She hates him because he is making this hard. She hates him because he is human. She hates him because she is human too. And humanity is a weakness she cannot afford. The weeks pass. They meet every few days. Coffee, walks. Once a concert at a theater where the musicians play Mozart, while German officers sit in the best seats, and French audiences pretend not to notice. He holds her hand during the slow movements. She lets him. His hand is warm. His grip is gentle. She memorizes the feel of his skin, the shape of his fingers, the way his thumb moves slightly when he is moved by the music. After the concert, he kisses her. They are standing on a bridge, the river dark below them, the city glittering with lights that are mostly German now. He turns to her, hesitates, leans in. She could stop him. She should stop him. Kissing a target is dangerous. Kissing creates bonds, attachments, complications. She does not stop him. His lips are soft. His mouth tastes like the wine they drank at intermission. His hand cups her face, gentle, careful, as if she were something precious. She closes her eyes, and for one moment, one single moment, she is not Anna, and she is not Sophia. She is just a woman being kissed by a man who wants her. The moment ends. She pulls back. She looks at him. His eyes are bright, hopeful, full of something she does not want to name. She smiles, the right smile, the smile that says yes without promising anything. They walk home in silence, his arm around her, her head against his shoulder. Two people pretending that the world outside does not exist. He invites her to his apartment. It is on the Avenue de la Bourdonnais, near the Eiffel Tower, in a building that was requisitioned for German officers. The apartment is large, elegant, furnished with things that belong to French people who are now somewhere else. She walks through the rooms, noting everything. The desk where he works, the papers on the desk, the safe behind the painting. He shows her the view from the window. The Eiffel Tower rises before them, dark against the night sky, the swastika flying from its top invisible in the darkness. He stands behind her, his hands on her shoulders, his breath warm against her neck. He tells her that he loves her. He has never said this to anyone before, he says. Not like this. Not with this certainty. He loves her. She says nothing. She cannot say nothing. She must say something. She turns to him, looks into his eyes, and says the words that will bind him to her forever. She says she loves him too. The lie tastes like nothing. It should taste like something. It should taste like betrayal, like treason, like the capsule in her tooth. But it tastes like nothing, because she is empty, because she has been trained to be empty, because the girl who could love died in Lubyanka, and what walks in her body now is just a machine that says the right words at the right time. He kisses her again. This kiss is different, hungrier, more desperate. He has waited for this, hoped for this, dreamed of this. She lets him kiss her, lets him touch her, lets him lead her to the bedroom that was someone else's bedroom, to the bed where someone else slept, to the act that will bind them together in ways that cannot be undone. She does what she was trained to do. She gives him her body. She gives him her mouth, her skin, her warmth. She gives him everything except herself, because herself does not exist anymore. She is a shell, a vessel, a weapon. Weapons do not feel pleasure. Weapons do not feel disgust. Weapons do not feel anything except the cold weight of the mission and the taste of the capsule behind their teeth. Afterward, he sleeps. She lies beside him in the darkness, listening to his breathing, watching the rise and fall of his chest. He looks younger in sleep, softer. The uniform is gone, the authority is gone, the German officer is gone. He is just a man, naked and vulnerable, trusting her with his life. She could kill him now. It would be easy. A pillow over his face, a knife from the kitchen, the cyanide capsule crushed and fed to him while he sleeps. So easy. So satisfying. so completely useless to the mission. She does not kill him. She gets up instead. She walks through the apartment in the darkness, her bare feet silent on the parquet floors. She finds his study, the desk, the papers. She cannot photograph them tonight. She has no camera, no light, no time. But she can look. She can memorize. She can learn. The papers are technical. Diagrams, calculations, maps of the coast. She sees words like bunker, casemate, obstacle. She sees dates and coordinates and names of places she has never heard of. She sees the words Atlantic Wall repeated again and again. The Atlantic Wall. This is why she is here. This is what she came for. These papers, these diagrams, these plans for the wall that will kill thousands of Allied soldiers if it is completed. She stares at them in the darkness, committing what she can to memory, knowing that she will need more, much more, than she can learn in a single night. She hears him stir in the bedroom. She moves away from the desk, silent, invisible. She returns to the bed, slides under the covers, presses her body against his warmth. He murmurs something in his sleep, pulls her closer, holds her, like she is the most precious thing in the world. She lies awake until dawn. In the morning, he makes coffee. Real coffee from a stash he keeps for special occasions. They drink it together in the kitchen, wearing robes that belong to someone else, watching the sun rise over the city. He talks about the future, about after the war, about taking her to Bavaria to meet his mother. He has it all planned, this German officer, this builder of walls, this man who loves a ghost. She smiles. She nods. She says yes to everything. She leaves at noon. He kisses her at the door, long and slow, promising to see her tomorrow, promising to love her forever, promising things he cannot deliver. She walks down the stairs and out into the cold afternoon and does not look back. The streets are full of people, French people, hungry and tired and afraid. She passes them without seeing them. She is thinking about the papers on his desk, the coordinates she memorized, the diagrams she will need to photograph. She is thinking about the mission, the wall, the men who will die if she fails. She is not thinking about him. She is not thinking about his warmth, his gentleness, the way he held her in the night. She is not thinking about the future he imagined, the Bavaria he described, the mother he wants her to meet. She is not thinking about any of that, because thinking about it would be fatal, and she cannot afford to die yet. She reaches her hotel. The patron is reading her newspaper. Anna climbs the stairs past the sounds of coughing and crying and the German music that never stops. She unlocks her door. She locks it behind her. She sits on the bed. Her body aches. Not from the night, not from him, but from the effort of being empty, of feeling nothing, of pretending that the warm weight of his hand on her skin meant nothing. She touches her cheek, the tooth, the capsule. She runs her tongue over it. It is still there, still waiting, still ready to end everything in 3 seconds with the taste of bitter almonds. She lies back on the bed. The cracked ceiling stares down at her. The cracks form patterns she does not want to read. She closes her eyes and sees his face, his sleeping face, young and soft and trusting. She opens her eyes. She does not sleep. She never sleeps anymore. But tonight, for the first time since she landed on that beach, she wishes she could. She wishes she could sleep and dream and forget, just for a few hours, what she is and what she has done and what she will have to do tomorrow. She cannot. The capsule waits. The mission waits. And somewhere in the city, a German officer is sleeping alone in a bed that still smells of her, dreaming of a future that will never come. Winter hardens into something brutal. February in Paris is usually gray but bearable. This year the cold comes from somewhere deeper, somewhere inside the bones of the city itself. Coal is scarce, bread is scarcer, the queues outside shops grow longer, and the faces in them grow emptier, and the Germans walk past as if the French are furniture, as if the hunger and the cold and the desperation are just part of the scenery. Anna moves through it like a knife through silk. She has a routine now. Mornings at the church, praying to a god she does not believe in. Afternoons at cafes, meeting Russians, collecting gossip, building the web of connections that will protect her when the hunt begins. Evenings with Klaus in his apartment in his bed, listening to his dreams and his fears and his endless talk about the wall he is building. The wall, it consumes him. He talks about it constantly, this massive project, this engineering marvel, this concrete ribbon that will stretch from Norway to Spain and protect Europe from the invaders who are surely coming. He shows her photographs of construction sites, bunkers rising from dunes, gun emplacements carved into cliffs. He explains the thickness of the concrete, the placement of the obstacles, the logic behind every pillbox and every trench. She listens. She memorizes. She learns that the wall is not one wall but many, not a line but a system, not a barrier but a killing field. She learns about the units stationed along the coast, the types of guns they will use, the ranges they can cover. She learns about the gaps in the defenses, the places where the concrete is thinner, the sectors where the commanders are incompetent or corrupt or simply too old to care. All of this goes into her memory. All of this will go to Moscow when she can find a way to send it. But sending is the problem. The man called the painter meets her in the Bois de Boulogne on Tuesdays, when the weather is bad and the park is empty. He is middle-aged, bald, unremarkable, the kind of man you pass on the street without noticing. He carries a sketchbook, always, and pretends to draw the bare trees, while she walks past and drops matches into a specific trash can, or leaves a book on a specific bench. She gives him what she has, photographs, when she can take them. Klaus leaves his study sometimes, leaves his papers on the desk, leaves her alone for 5 minutes, 10, long enough to use the miniature camera hidden in her compact. The photographs are small, grainy, but the Lubyanka technicians will make them work. They always do. The painter takes the film. The painter disappears. The painter asks no questions and gives no answers, and is the only person in Paris who knows what she really is. She does not know his real name. She does not want to know. The work continues. February becomes March. The days grow longer, but no warmer. Klaus talks about a trip to the coast, an inspection tour, a chance to see the wall in person. He wants her to come with him. He wants to show her what he is building, this thing he is so proud of, this monument to German engineering that will stand for 1,000 years. She says yes. She says yes to everything now. At night, in his bed, she lies awake and listens to his breathing and thinks about the men who will die because of what she learns from him. She thinks about the landings, the beaches, the boys climbing out of landing craft into machine gun fire. She thinks about the mothers who will receive telegrams, the wives who will become widows, the children who will never know their fathers. She thinks about her own mother, starving in Leningrad, waiting for news that will never come. She thinks about the capsule in her tooth. She does not think about Klaus. She cannot think about Klaus. Thinking about Klaus is a luxury she cannot afford. But she thinks about him anyway. She thinks about the way he holds her, the way he talks about his mother, the way he cried once, just once, when he told her about a friend who died on the Eastern Front, frozen solid in a ditch, his eyes open and staring at a sky he would never see again. She thinks about his hands, his engineer's hands, precise and careful and gentle when they touch her face. She thinks about what will happen to him when she is done. They will find her, eventually. Or they will find the photographs, the information, the trail she leaves behind. They will trace it back to him, to the woman he loved, to the spy who shared his bed. They will arrest him. They will interrogate him. They will shoot him, probably, or hang him, or send him to a camp where he will die slowly of cold and hunger and the knowledge that he was a fool. She cannot think about this. She thinks about it constantly. The painter misses a meeting. She waits in the Bois de Boulogne for 2 hours, walking the same paths, sitting on the same benches, dropping matches into the same trash can. He does not come. The park is empty except for the crows and the cold and the distant sound of German trucks on the periphery. She walks home slowly. She does not run. Running attracts attention. Running is for people who have something to hide. She has everything to hide, but she walks like she has nothing, like she is just a woman enjoying a cold afternoon in a cold city, in a cold war. At her hotel, the patron is not reading her newspaper. This is wrong. The patron always reads her newspaper at this hour. It is her ritual, her escape, her way of pretending that the world outside is just news, just words, just stories that happen to other people. But today, she is standing at the window, looking out at the street, and her hands are shaking. Anna climbs the stairs without looking back. Her room is untouched. The lock is still intact. The tiny marks she left on the doorframe, the hairs placed in specific positions, the invisible signs that tell her if someone has entered, all of them are undisturbed. She sits on the bed and waits for her heart to stop pounding. It does not stop. She lies back and stares at the cracked ceiling and thinks about the painter. Where is he? What happened? Did they take him? Did he talk? Does he know her real name, her real face, her real mission? He does not. The Lubyanka is careful. The painter knows only what he needs to know. A woman, a contact, a drop. No name, no address, no connection to anything except the matches in the trash can and the books on the bench. If they took him, they learned nothing. If they took him, she is still safe. Unless they followed him. Unless they watched him, waited, saw her walking in the park. Unless they are watching her now, sitting in a car across the street, waiting for her to lead them to someone bigger, someone more important, someone worth arresting. She gets up. She looks out the window, careful, invisible, just a woman glancing at the street. A car is parked across from the hotel. Black, civilian, no markings. 2 men inside. They are not looking at her hotel. They are looking at each other, talking, smoking, waiting. She watches them for 10 minutes. They do not move. She watches them for 20 minutes. A woman walks past. The men look at her. The woman crosses the street. The men look away. They are not watching the hotel. They are watching something else, someone else, or they are just 2 men in a car on a cold afternoon, doing nothing, being nothing, meaning nothing. She cannot know. That is the worst part. She cannot know if they are Gestapo or police or just two men waiting for a friend. She cannot know if the painter is dead or alive or sitting in a cell somewhere screaming. She cannot know anything except the taste of the capsule in her tooth and the weight of the mission on her shoulders. She does not leave the hotel for 3 days. She tells Klaus she is sick. He brings her soup, real soup, with meat in it, a luxury that makes her want to cry. He sits beside her bed and holds her hand and tells her about his day, the meetings, the arguments, the endless problems with the wall. He does not suspect anything. He trusts her completely. She hates him for it. She hates him for his trust, his love, his blindness. She hates him because he should know better, because he should see what she is, because he should protect himself from the enemy in his bed. But he does not see. He never sees. He is an engineer, trained to see concrete and steel, not the human heart. On the 4th day, she goes out. She walks past the car. It is still there, the same car, the same 2 men. They do not look at her. She walks to the cafe where she first met Klaus. She orders coffee. She sits with her back to the wall and watches the door and waits for something to happen. Nothing happens. She walks to the church. She prays. Nothing happens. She walks to the Bois de Boulogne. The park is empty. The trash can is still there. She drops matches into it. The signal, the call, the desperate hope that the painter will appear. He does not appear. She walks home in the dark. The car is gone. She does not know if this is good or bad. She does not know if they found what they were looking for, or gave up, or just went home to their wives and their dinners and their ordinary lives. She does not know anything except the cold and the fear and the endless weight of not knowing. Klaus is waiting at her hotel. He has a key now. She gave it to him weeks ago, because that is what lovers do. He is sitting on her bed, his face pale, his hands shaking. He has news. Bad news, she thinks. Terrible news. The kind of news that changes everything. He tells her. The resistance killed a German officer yesterday. Shot him in the street, in broad daylight, in front of dozens of witnesses. The Germans are furious. They are rounding up suspects, raiding apartments, arresting anyone who looks at them wrong. There are rumors of mass executions, of hostages taken, of a city about to explode. She listens. She nods. She puts her arms around him and holds him while he shakes and tells her how scared he is, how dangerous Paris has become, how he worries about her, alone in this hotel, unprotected, vulnerable. He wants her to move in with him. He wants her to be safe. He wants to protect her from the violence that is coming. She says yes. She has no choice. She says yes because that is what Sophia would do, what any woman would do, what a woman in love would do when her man offers to keep her safe. She says yes, and she means it, means every word, because moving into his apartment means access, means opportunity, means she can photograph his papers every night instead of waiting for moments of opportunity. She says yes, and she hates herself for saying yes, and she hates him for making it easy. He leaves, happy, relieved, already planning how to move her things, how to make space in his closets, how to introduce her to his colleagues as the woman he loves. She sits on the bed after he goes. The cracked ceiling stares down at her. The cracks form patterns, faces, shapes that she does not want to see. She lies back and closes her eyes and tries to remember what it felt like to be safe, to be loved, to be anything except a weapon waiting to be used. She cannot remember. The next day, she moves. Her belongings fit in one small suitcase. The clothes, The compact, the lipstick, the cigarettes. The dead woman's life, packed and carried and installed in a German officer's apartment, in a German officer's bedroom, in a German officer's bed. The apartment is warm. She has her own key now, her own drawer, her own place in his closet. She stands at the window and looks out at the Eiffel Tower and thinks about the men who will die because of what she will learn in this room. She thinks about the painter. She will never know what happened to him. That is the rule. Contacts disappear. Agents vanish. The work continues. She is alone now, completely alone, the only thread connecting Moscow to the plans for the Atlantic Wall. If she falls, the thread breaks. If she falls, everything breaks. She touches her cheek, the tooth, the capsule. Still there. Still waiting. Still ready to end everything in 3 seconds with the taste of bitter almonds. Klaus comes home. He kisses her. He holds her. He tells her about his day, the meetings, the arguments, the endless problems with the wall. She listens. She nods. She smiles. She is perfect. She is empty. She is the weapon they trained her to be. That night, while he sleeps, she photographs his papers. Every page, every diagram, every calculation. The camera clicks softly in the darkness, a sound so quiet that only she can hear it. She works for 2 hours, her hands steady, her breathing calm, her heart beating like a metronome. When she finishes, she hides the film in the lining of her coat. She returns to bed. He reaches for her in his sleep, pulls her close, holds her against his warmth. She lies in his arms, staring at the ceiling, and does not sleep. She never sleeps anymore. But tonight, for the first time, she wonders if she will ever sleep again, if she will ever feel safe again, if she will ever be anything except this hollow thing that smiles and lies and photographs secrets in the dark. She does not have answers. She has only the mission. And the capsule. Always the capsule. Spring comes late to Paris in 1944. April rains wash the streets clean of winter's filth, but nothing can wash away the fear that hangs over the city like smoke. The news from the East is bad for Germany. Everyone knows this, even if no one says it. The Russians are advancing. The Americans and British are gathering in England. Everyone waits for something, expects something, dreads something that has not happened yet. Klaus comes home one evening with light in his eyes. He has been promoted. Major now, with a new title and new responsibilities and a new office in a new building. He is no longer just an engineer consulting on the wall. He is part of the command structure, part of the planning, part of the inner circle that decides where the concrete goes and how thick it will be and what guns will point at which beaches. She celebrates with him. Champagne? Real champagne? From a bottle he has been saving for a special occasion? Dinner at a restaurant where Germans eat and French serve and everyone pretends that the war is somewhere else, happening to someone else. She laughs at his jokes, touches his hand across the table, tells him how proud she is of him. She means it. Not proud of his promotion, not proud of his wall, but proud of how easy she has made this, how deeply he trusts her, how completely he has opened his life to the enemy in his bed. She is proud of her work, her craft, her ability to be empty, while the world burns around her. That night, he shows her the files. Not all of them. Not the most secret ones. But enough. He spreads maps across the dining table, points to places she has never heard of, explains the logic behind the defenses. Here, the cliffs are high enough that landings are impossible. Here the beaches are flat, perfect, for invasion. So the bunkers are thickest here, the guns most numerous, the obstacles most deadly. Here, the places where boys will die, where the Atlantic will run red, where the wall will prove its worth. She looks at the maps. She memorizes everything. He trusts her completely. This is the thing that will destroy him, and he cannot see it. He spreads his secrets before her like a lover spreading gifts, proud of what he has built, eager to share it with the woman he loves. She asks questions, careful questions, innocent questions, and he answers everyone. The wall is not finished. This is the most important thing she learns. Despite years of work, despite thousands of laborers, despite all the concrete and steel that Germany can pour into France, the wall is not finished. There are gaps, weaknesses, places where the defenses are thin and the commanders are incompetent, and the guns are the wrong size or the wrong type or not there at all. She files this away. This will matter. This will matter more than anything else she has learned. The days pass. She meets his colleagues now. Other officers, engineers, men who build walls for a living. They come to dinner at the apartment, drink his wine, eat the food she prepares, compliment her cooking and her French and her beauty. They talk in front of her, around her, through her, as if she were furniture, as if a woman cannot possibly understand what they are discussing. She understands everything. She learns about supply problems, labor shortages, arguments between the Army and the Navy over who controls which guns. She learns about the TOT organization, the massive construction group that is building the wall, about the workers who are volunteers, and the workers who are slaves, and the ones who are prisoners of war. She learns about the politics, the rivalries, the egos that shape the defenses as much as the terrain does. All of this goes into her memory. All of this will go to Moscow when she can find a way to send it. But sending is still the problem. The painter is gone. She has no contact now, no way to pass the film, no one to trust. She is a radio without a transmitter, a voice without an audience, a weapon that cannot fire. The information piles up in her memory, in the lining of her coat, in the hollow spaces of her being, and she has no way to make it useful. She considers finding a new contact. She considers walking into a church and asking for a priest who knows things, or a cafe where the waiters are resistance, or a street corner where men in shadows trade secrets for money. She considers all of these and rejects all of them because she has no way to know who is real and who is Gestapo, and who will sell her for a loaf of bread. She waits. Waiting is what she was trained to do. Wait and watch and be ready. The opportunity will come. It has to come. May arrives. The weather warms. The city softens. People spend more time outside, in the parks, at the cafes, pretending that life is normal, that summer is coming, that the war will end someday, and they will still be alive to see it. Klaus tells her he is going to the coast. An inspection tour. A week, maybe 2. He will visit the construction sites, meet with the local commanders, see the wall with his own eyes instead of just on paper. He wants her to come with him. He has already arranged it, pulled strings, called in favors. She will travel as his guest, his companion, the woman he loves. She says yes. She has no choice. She says yes because that is what Sophia would do, what any woman would do, what a woman in love would do when her man offers to show her something beautiful. She says yes, and she means it, means every word, because seeing the wall in person means seeing things she could never learn from maps and documents. They leave on a Monday morning. The train is crowded with soldiers, all moving toward the coast, all carrying rifles and packs, and the blank faces of men going toward something they do not understand. Klaus has a compartment reserved, first class, with seats that recline, and a table where they can eat the lunch she packed. She watches the countryside pass. Fields, farms, villages, all green now with spring. She sees children playing in yards, women hanging laundry, old men sitting on benches in the sun. Normal life, continuing despite the war, despite the occupation, despite everything. She wonders if any of them know what is coming. If any of them dream at night of beaches running red, of walls of concrete and steel, of the invasion that everyone knows is coming, but no one can predict. They reach the coast in the afternoon. The sky is gray, the sea is gray, the sand is the color of old bones. She sees the wall before she sees anything else. Concrete bunkers rising from the dunes like ancient tombs. Gun emplacements carved into the cliffs. Obstacles on the beach, metal and concrete, designed to tear the bottoms out of landing craft and the bodies out of men. It is massive. It is terrible. It is beautiful in the way that all weapons are beautiful. The beauty of purpose, of function, of death, made efficient. Klaus watches her face as she sees it for the first time. He is proud. He wants her to be impressed. She gives him what he wants, gasps appropriately, squeezes his hand, tells him it is amazing, incredible, beyond anything she imagined. She means it. Not the way he thinks, but she means it. They stay at a hotel in a town near the coast. A small hotel, requisitioned for German officers, comfortable in the way that all requisitioned things are comfortable, taken from people who are now somewhere else. She has her own room, separate from his, because appearances matter even here, even now. At night, he comes to her. He tells her about his day, the inspections, the meetings, the arguments with local commanders who want more concrete and more men and more guns. He tells her about the problems, the delays, the shortages that plague every project. He tells her everything, because she is safe, because she is his, because he trusts her with his life. She listens. She memorizes. In the mornings, while he works, she walks. She walks along the beaches, past the bunkers, past the guns, past the workers who are building the wall. She counts everything: the number of bunkers per kilometer, the types of guns, the thickness of the concrete, the placement of the obstacles. She counts and memorizes and files away because this is why she is here, this is what she came for. This is the information that will save lives when the invasion comes. The workers notice her, a woman alone, walking where women do not walk, looking at things that women do not look at. Some of them stare. Some of them whistle. Some of them just watch, silent, suspicious, wondering who she is and why she is there. She smiles at them. She is just a tourist, she says. Just a woman from Paris, visiting her lover, curious about the famous wall. They shrug, accept, go back to their work. They are slaves, most of them, or prisoners, or conscripts from countries that Germany has conquered. They do not care about a woman with a smile and a German lover. She walks for miles. She sees everything. One afternoon, she finds a place where the wall is thin. It is a stretch of beach between two bunkers, maybe 500 meters long, where the concrete is only waist-high, and the guns cannot cover the approach. She stands there, feeling the wind off the sea, and knows that this is where the landing will come. This is where the boys will climb out of the boats and run toward the guns. This is where they will die, unless someone tells someone who tells someone who changes the plans. She memorizes every detail. That night, she tells Klaus she wants to see more. She is fascinated, she says. She never imagined anything so impressive. She wants to understand it better, the wall, the engineering, the vision behind it. She asks him to explain it to her, to show her the plans, to teach her what he knows. He is flattered. He spreads the maps on her bed, the same maps he uses for his inspections, the detailed plans that show every bunker, every gun, every obstacle along this section of coast. He explains the logic, the strategy, the thinking behind every decision. He points to the thin places, the weak places, the places where the wall is vulnerable, and tells her why they cannot be fixed, why there is not enough concrete, not enough time, not enough men. She listens. She memorizes everything. In the night, while he sleeps, she photographs the maps. The camera clicks softly in the darkness, a sound that seems impossibly loud, impossibly dangerous. She works quickly, methodically, her hand steady despite the pounding of her heart. Page after page, map after map, the secrets of the Atlantic Wall captured on film small enough to hide in the lining of her coat. When she finishes, she lies beside him and does not sleep. She stares at the ceiling and thinks about the thin place on the beach, the 500 meters where the wall is weak, where the invasion could succeed if someone knows where to look. She thinks about the boys who will die anyway, because invasion means death, because war means death, because nothing she does can save everyone. She thinks about her mother. She thinks about the capsule in her tooth. She thinks about Klaus, sleeping beside her, trusting her, loving her, never knowing that she has just condemned his wall to failure and his country to defeat and himself to whatever comes after. She does not cry. She has forgotten how. The week passes. She walks more beaches, photographs more maps, memorizes more details. She learns the names of the commanders, the numbers of the units, the types of the guns. She learns the schedules, the routines, the patterns of patrols and supply and reinforcement. She learns everything that can be learned about this section of the Atlantic Wall. On the last night, Klaus takes her to dinner at the hotel restaurant. They are the only diners. The food is good, German food, brought from somewhere far away. He talks about the future, after the war, when he will take her to Bavaria and show her the mountains and introduce her to his mother. He talks about children, about a house, about a life together that exists only in his imagination. She listens. She nods. She smiles. She is perfect. The next day, they return to Paris. The train is crowded with soldiers, many of them wounded, many of them young, many of them with the empty eyes of men who have seen too much. She sits beside Klaus, her hand in his, and watches the countryside pass. Fields, farms, villages, all green with spring, all waiting for the invasion that everyone knows is coming. She thinks about the film in her coat. Enough to save thousands. Enough to change the course of the war. Enough to justify everything she has done, everything she has become, everything she has sacrificed. She thinks about Klaus. He is reading a report, frowning at something, already back to work, already building his wall, already believing in the future he imagines. She looks at his hands, his engineer's hands, precise and careful and gentle. She looks at his face, his profile, the way the light catches his cheekbones and his jaw. She looks away. She cannot look at him. Looking at him is dangerous. Looking at him makes her feel things she cannot afford to feel. The train arrives in Paris. They take a taxi to the apartment. The city is the same as always, gray and hungry and afraid. She climbs the stairs, enters the apartment, stands at the window and looks at the Eiffel Tower, and thinks about the thin place on the beach, and the film in her coat, and the men who will die anyway, no matter what she does. Klaus comes up behind her. He puts his arms around her, holds her, breathes into her hair. He tells her he loves her. He tells her she is the best thing that has ever happened to him. He tells her that when the war is over, they will be happy, together, forever. She does not answer. She cannot answer. She touches her cheek, the tooth, the capsule. Still there, still waiting, still ready to end everything in 3 seconds, with the taste of bitter almonds. She wonders if she will need it. She wonders if she will use it. She wonders if she will ever be anything except this hollow thing that smiles and lies and photographs secrets in the dark. She does not have answers. She has only the mission and the film. And the thin place on the beach where the wall is weak and the boys will come and the world will change. She waits. June arrives like a held breath. The city waits. Everyone feels it. The thing that is coming. The invasion that has been promised for years. The Germans prepare, rushing supplies to the coast, moving troops, laying mines. The French watch, silent, hopeful, terrified. The resistance stirs, planning, waiting for the signal that will tell them to rise. Anna feels it too. The film is still in her coat. Dozens of photographs, maps, diagrams, the thin places on the beach, the weak points in the wall. She has no way to send them. The painter is gone. The contacts are dead. She is alone with the most important intelligence of the war and no one to give it to. She considers desperate measures. Walking into a church and asking for a priest who knows things. Finding a resistance cell and hoping they are real, hoping they are not Gestapo, hoping they can get the film to London before the invasion comes. She considers all of these and rejects all of them because the risk is too great. One mistake and the film is lost, the mission is lost, everything is lost. She waits. Waiting is what she was trained to do. Wait and watch and be ready. The opportunity will come. It has to come. Klaus notices nothing. He is busy, consumed by work, obsessed with the wall and the invasion and the future of Germany. He comes home late, leaves early, falls into bed exhausted, and sleeps like the dead. He still holds her, still loves her, still trusts her completely. He tells her nothing about his work now, not because he suspects, but because he is too tired to talk. She listens anyway. She learns from his silences, his absences, the way he flinches at sudden noises and stares at maps when he thinks she is not looking. She learns that the Germans are afraid, that the wall is not enough, that the invasion will come soon and no one knows where or when or how. She learns that Klaus is afraid, too. He does not say this. He would never say this. But she sees it in his eyes, in the way he holds her tighter at night, in the way he talks about Bavaria and his mother, and the life they will have after the war. He is trying to convince himself, as much as her, that there will be an after. The days crawl past. June 1st, June 2nd, June 3rd. The weather is bad, storms in the Channel, rough seas and low clouds. The Germans relax slightly, thinking that no one would be crazy enough to invade in this weather. Klaus comes home early, opens wine, tries to be normal. She tries with him. June 4th. The Americans have taken Rome. The news spreads through Paris like fire. whispered from person to person, hope growing despite everything. Klaus hears it at work, comes home grim, says nothing. She holds him in the darkness and feels him shake. June 5th. The weather is still bad. Klaus goes to work. She stays in the apartment, staring at the window, staring at the Eiffel Tower, staring at nothing. The film burns in her coat. The capsule waits in her tooth. The city holds its breath. That evening, Klaus comes home early. His face is strange, excited, frightened. She cannot read him anymore. He has changed in the past weeks, become someone harder, someone more distant, someone she does not recognize. He takes her hands, looks into her eyes, tells her he has something important to ask. She thinks he knows. She thinks this is it, the moment of discovery, the end of everything. Her tongue moves to the capsule, ready, waiting. 3 seconds, and it will be over. 3 seconds, and she will taste bitter almonds and feel nothing ever again. He drops to one knee. He opens a small box. Inside a ring, old-fashioned, beautiful. A diamond that catches the light and throws it back in rainbows. He asks her to marry him. He asks her to be his wife, to come to Bavaria after the war, to spend the rest of her life with him. She stares at him. For one terrible moment, she forgets who she is. She forgets the mission, the film, the mother in Leningrad, the capsule in her tooth. She is just a woman, being asked by a man who loves her to marry him. She is just Anna, the girl who danced, the girl who dreamed, the girl who died in Lubyanka. Then she remembers. She is Sofia Volkonskaya. She is a weapon. She is the enemy in his bed. She smiles. She takes the ring. She lets him put it on her finger. She says yes. She says yes because that is what Sofia would do, what any woman would do, what a woman in love would do when the man she loves asks her to be his wife. He kisses her. He is crying. She feels the wetness on his cheeks, tastes the salt on his lips. He is crying with joy, with relief, with the hope that somewhere in this terrible world there is still something good, something pure, something worth living for. She holds him. She holds him and feels nothing, and feels everything, and cannot tell the difference anymore. That night, he tells her everything. He is drunk on wine and happiness, and the desperate need to share himself with someone who will understand. He tells her about the invasion, the one that is coming, the one that everyone knows is coming. He tells her about the defenses, the preparations, the plans. He tells her about the Atlantic Wall, the real wall, not the one in the newspapers, but the one on the ground, with all its weaknesses and gaps and failures. He tells her about the thin places, the places she already knows, the places she has photographed, the places where the invasion will succeed if anyone in London knows where to look. He tells her names, dates, coordinates. He tells her things that could save thousands of lives, end the war months sooner, change the course of history. She listens. She memorizes. When he falls asleep, she photographs his papers. The camera clicks in the darkness. Page after page, map after map, secret after secret. She works for hours until her hands cramp and her eyes burn and the film in her camera runs out. She works until there is nothing left to photograph, nothing left to learn, nothing left to do but wait for dawn. She hides the new film with the old. Her coat is heavy with secrets now, heavy enough to sink her if she falls into the Seine, heavy enough to hang her if she is caught, heavy enough to change the world if she can get it to the right people. She lies beside him. He reaches for her in his sleep, pulls her close, holds her against his warmth. She lies in his arms, staring at the ceiling. and thinks about the ring on her finger. The diamond catches what little light there is, glitters softly, promises a future that will never come. She thinks about his face when he asked her. The hope, the fear, the love, all of it real, all of it genuine, all of it wasted on a ghost. She thinks about her mother. Starving in Leningrad, waiting for news that will never come, not knowing that her daughter is lying in a German officer's bed, wearing a German officer's ring, carrying secrets that could win the war. She thinks about the capsule. Still there, still waiting, still ready. She does not sleep. June 6th, 1944. Dawn comes gray and cold. She is at the window when the first reports arrive. Klaus's radio crackles in the other room, voices in German, urgent, frightened. She hears the words invasion and Normandy and beaches. Normandy. Not the place she photographed. Not the thin place she found. Somewhere else. Somewhere she does not know. Somewhere the wall is strong. She stands at the window and watches the sun rise over Paris and thinks about the boys dying on those beaches, the boys whose lives could have been saved if she had found a way to send her film, if she had been better, faster, luckier. Klaus comes up behind her. He is pale, shaking, already in uniform. He tells her the news. The Allies have landed. Thousands of ships, thousands of men. The invasion has begun. He has to go, report for duty, do his job. He does not know when he will be back. He kisses her. Hard. Desperate. A kiss that tries to say everything there is no time to say. He tells her he loves her. He tells her to be safe, to stay inside, to wait for him. He tells her that when this is over, they will go to Bavaria. They will be happy. They will have the life they dreamed of. She nods. She smiles. She tells him she loves him too. He leaves. The door closes behind him. His footsteps fade down the stairs. The apartment is silent, empty, waiting. She stands at the window for a long time. The city below is waking up. People are moving, gathering, whispering. The news is spreading, the invasion, the liberation, the beginning of the end. She touches the ring on her finger. She touches the film in her coat. She touches her cheek, the tooth, the capsule. She has what she came for. The secrets of the Atlantic Wall, the plans, the maps, the thin places, everything the Allies need to break through, to advance, to win. But the invasion has already started. In the wrong place, on the wrong beaches, where the wall is strong and the boys are dying, and there is nothing she can do to save them. She thinks about the thin place she found, the 500 meters of weak concrete, the gap in the defenses that could have changed everything. She thinks about the film in her coat, useless now, too late, always too late. She thinks about Klaus, his face when he asked her to marry him, his tears on her skin, his trust, his love, his hope, all of it real, all of it wasted. She does not cry. She has forgotten how. But something happens inside her chest, something that feels like crying would feel if she still remembered. A cracking, a breaking, a small death. She takes off the ring. She holds it in her palm, looks at it. This symbol of a future that will never exist. Then she puts it in her pocket. Because leaving it behind would raise questions. Because Sofia Volkonskaya would never leave her engagement ring. Because the mission is not over yet. The mission is not over yet. She repeats this to herself like a prayer. The mission is not over yet. The film can still be sent. The information can still be used. The invasion is just beginning. The war is not over. There is still time to matter, to make a difference, to justify everything she has done. She gathers her coat. She checks the film, the capsule, the papers that prove she is Sofia Volkonskaya. She leaves the apartment, walks down the stairs, steps out into the city. Paris is alive. People in the streets, talking, pointing at radios, crying, laughing, hoping. The news of the invasion has transformed them, lifted the weight of years, given them something they had forgotten they could have. Hope. She walks through them like a ghost. She has no one to contact, nowhere to go, nothing to do but wait. Wait for a signal that may never come. Wait for a contact who may be dead. Wait for the chance to make her sacrifice mean something. She finds a cafe. She sits in the corner, orders coffee she will not drink, and watches the city celebrate the beginning of the end. She thinks about the boys on the beaches, dying in the surf, their blood mixing with the sand. She thinks about Klaus, somewhere in a command post, doing his job, building his wall, believing in his country. She thinks about herself. What is she now? Not Anna, not Sophia, not anything. A hollow thing with a coat full of secrets, and a tooth full of poison, and a ring in her pocket that proves someone loved her once. The cafe door opens. A man enters. Ordinary, middle-aged, unremarkable. He orders coffee, sits at the bar, reads a newspaper. He does not look at her. He does not need to. She sees the signal, a small thing, invisible to anyone who is not looking for it. The way he holds his cup, the angle of his newspaper, the matchbook on the bar placed just so. A new contact. The resistance has found her, or Moscow has, or someone who knows someone who knows someone. It does not matter. What matters is the signal, the contact, the chance to finally pass the film. She finishes her coffee. She stands, leaves money on the table, walks past the man without looking at him. She drops her matchbook on the floor near his feet. The signal returned. The contact made. Tomorrow she will meet him in the Bois de Boulogne. Tomorrow she will pass the film. Tomorrow everything she has done will finally mean something. She walks back to the apartment through streets that are slowly filling with joy. She climbs the stairs, unlocks the door, stands in the empty rooms that smell like Klaus. She sits on the bed. The ring is in her pocket. She takes it out, looks at it. This promise of a future that can never happen. She puts it on her finger just for a moment, just to feel what it would feel like to be loved, to be wanted, to be someone's wife. Then she takes it off. She hides it in the drawer where she keeps her clothes, where Sofia Volkonskaya would keep her engagement ring, where Klaus will find it when he comes home and she is gone. If he comes home. If she is gone. She lies back on the bed. The ceiling is different here, not cracked like the hotel, smooth and white and empty. She stares at it and thinks about tomorrow, about the contact, about the film that will finally leave her hands. She thinks about Klaus. She will not see him again. She knows this with the certainty of someone who has learned to accept the worst. When she leaves tomorrow, she leaves forever. He will come home to an empty apartment, a cold bed, a ring in a drawer. He will search for her, report her missing, eventually realize what she was, or he will die on some front, in some battle, never knowing that the woman he loved was the enemy all along. She does not know which is worse. She touches her cheek, the tooth, the capsule, still there, still waiting. She will not need it tomorrow. The contact is safe, the film will pass, the mission will succeed. She will live to fight another day, to lie another day, to be empty another day. She closes her eyes. For the first time in months, she sleeps. She dreams of dancing, a theater, lights, music. She is on stage, moving, beautiful, alive. The audience watches, faces blurred, but one face is clear. Klaus, smiling, proud, loving her. She dances for him. She dances and dances and dances, and the music never stops, and he never stops watching, and she is happy, truly happy, for the first time in forever. Then she wakes. The room is dark. The city is quiet. The invasion continues somewhere to the north, boys dying on beaches, blood in the sand. She lies in the darkness and does not move. Tomorrow, she will pass the film. Tomorrow, she will become a ghost. Tonight, she is just a woman who dreamed of dancing for a man who loved her. She touches the ring in the drawer, though she cannot see it, though it is hidden, though it belongs to a future that will never exist. She touches her cheek. The capsule waits. She waits with it. The Bois de Boulogne is empty at dawn. She walks the familiar paths, her footsteps soft on the damp ground, her coat heavy with film. The trees are full green now, summer leaves hiding the sky, hiding everything. Birds sing, oblivious to war, to invasion, to the woman who walks among them carrying secrets that could kill thousands. The contact is waiting on the bench. The same bench where she used to meet the painter, in what feels like another life. A different man this time, younger, with a face that has not yet learned to hide everything. He holds a sketchbook, just like the painter did, draws the trees with quick, nervous strokes. She sits beside him. She does not look at him. She looks at the pond, the ducks, the empty path. Her hands are in her lap, folded, still. The film is in her pocket, wrapped in wax paper, small enough to hide in a palm. He speaks first. Low voice, urgent, the voice of a man who is afraid. He tells her the network is compromised. The painter was arrested 3 months ago. He talked. Not about her, not directly, but enough. They know there is a woman. They know she meets contacts in parks. They know she is connected to a German officer on the Atlantic Wall project. She listens. Her face does not change. Her hands do not move. Inside, something cold spreads through her chest, freezing everything it touches. He tells her the meeting is a trap. He is not resistance. He is a messenger, sent by the real resistance to warn her. They cannot meet her. They cannot take the film. They cannot risk exposure. She is on her own. He stands. He walks away without looking back. His sketchbook is still on the bench, forgotten or left deliberately. She does not know which. She does not touch it. She does not move. The birds sing. The sun rises higher, burning through the mist, warming the empty paths of the Bois de Boulogne. She sits on the bench for a long time, alone, holding the film that no one will take, carrying the secrets that no one will use. They know. The Gestapo knows about her. Not her name, not her face, not yet. But they know there is a woman connected to Klaus, passing information. They will be watching. They will be waiting. They will find her eventually, unless she disappears, unless she becomes someone else, unless she runs. She cannot run. The film is still in her pocket. The mission is not over. The invasion has just begun, and the information she carries could still save lives, could still shorten the war, could still make everything mean something. She stands. She walks out of the park, slowly, calmly, a woman enjoying a morning walk. She does not look back. She does not hurry. Hurrying is for people who have somewhere to go, something to fear. She has nothing except the film and the capsule and the cold certainty that she is already dead. The streets are busy now. People going to work, to market, to whatever passes for normal life in occupied Paris. She moves among them, invisible, anonymous, one more face in the crowd. But she feels eyes on her now, feels watchers in every doorway, feels the net closing, even though she cannot see it. She does not go to the apartment. Klaus's apartment is the first place they will watch. If they know about the woman connected to the German officer, they will be there, waiting, hoping. She returns. She cannot go back. She cannot risk it. She goes to a cafe instead. Different cafe, far from the apartment, far from the park. She orders coffee, sits in the corner, watches the door. Her hands are steady. Her face is calm. Inside she is counting, calculating, trying to find a way out of a trap that has not yet sprung. She has nowhere to go. The hotel is too dangerous. The church is too dangerous. Anywhere she has been before is too dangerous. She needs somewhere new, somewhere clean, somewhere the Gestapo does not know. She thinks of the woman from the salon, Madame Fournier, the wealthy widow who hosted the party, where she met Klaus. French, connected, safe. She could go there, ask for help, claim she is fleeing a lover, claim anything. Madame Fournier might believe her. Madame Fournier might hide her. Or Madame Fournier might be working with the Germans. Everyone is working with the Germans in some way. In this city, in this war. She cannot trust anyone. She cannot trust anyone except herself and the capsule in her tooth. She finishes her coffee. She leaves money on the table. She walks out into the street and keeps walking. No destination, no plan, just movement, just survival, just the animal instinct to keep going until she finds somewhere safe. The day passes. She walks for hours, through neighborhoods she does not know, past buildings she has never seen. She rests in churches, in parks, in doorways. She eats nothing, drinks nothing, because accepting food means trusting, and trusting is death. As evening falls, she finds herself near the river. The Seine is beautiful in the fading light, gray and gold and peaceful. She stands on a bridge watching the water flow past and thinks about jumping. Not to die, not yet, but to escape, to disappear, to let the river carry her away from everything. She does not jump. She walks on. Night comes. The city darkens. Curfew approaches. She needs somewhere to sleep, somewhere safe, somewhere the patrols will not find her. She thinks of the catacombs, the underground tunnels where the resistance hides, but she does not know how to find them. She thinks of abandoned buildings, empty warehouses, but those are the first places the Germans search. She thinks of the church, the Russian church, on Rue Daru. The priest who asked no questions, who gave her bread and coffee on her first morning in France. He might help her. He might hide her. He might be the only person in Paris who will see a woman in need instead of a spy to be betrayed. She goes to the church. It is dark, locked, silent. She knocks on the side door, the one where the priest lives. She waits. She knocks again. She hears footsteps. Slow, careful. The door opens a crack. The priest looks at her, old, tired, with eyes that have seen too much. He remembers her. She sees it in his face, the recognition, the question. He opens the door wider. She steps inside. He does not ask why she is here, why she is alone, why she looks like she has been walking for days. He leads her to a small room, a cell really, with a bed and a chair and a crucifix on the wall. He brings her bread and water. He leaves her alone. She sits on the bed. The film is still in her pocket. The capsule is still in her tooth. The ring is still in the drawer at Klaus's apartment, waiting for a woman who will never return. She does not sleep. She sits in the darkness, listening to the sounds of the church, the creak of old wood, the whisper of wind through stone. She thinks about Klaus, about his face when he asked her to marry him, about his tears on her skin. She thinks about her mother, starving in Leningrad, waiting for news that will never come. She thinks about the boys dying on the beaches, the boys whose lives she could have saved if she had been faster, better, luckier. She thinks about the capsule, so easy, so quick. 3 seconds, and it would all be over. No more running, no more hiding, no more being empty. She does not bite down. Not yet. Morning comes. The priest brings more bread, more water. He sits in the chair, looks at her with those old, tired eyes. He does not ask questions. He waits. She speaks. She tells him she needs to get out of Paris. She tells him she needs to reach the coast. Any coast. Somewhere she can find a boat, a plane, a way to England. She tells him she has information that must reach London, information that could save lives, information that will mean nothing if it stays in her pocket. He listens. When she finishes, he nods. He tells her about a network, priests and farmers and fishermen, who help people escape. He tells her it is dangerous, that many have died trying, that the Germans watch every road, every train, every village. He tells her he will make inquiries, send messages, do what he can. She thanks him. She does not tell him about the capsule. She does not tell him about Klaus. She does not tell him anything except what he needs to know to help her. He leaves. She waits. The day passes. She prays, not to God, but to nothing, to the empty air, to the hope that somewhere in this terrible world there is still a chance. She prays that the priest succeeds, that the network is real, that she can reach England before the Gestapo finds her. Evening comes. The priest returns. His face is gray. He tells her the news. The Gestapo has been to the church. They asked about a woman, Russian, connected to a German officer. They did not search, did not arrest, but they will be back. They know she is somewhere in the city. They know someone is hiding her. She cannot stay. He gives her clothes, civilian clothes, the clothes of a French peasant woman. He gives her money a little, enough for food and shelter. He gives her an address, a farm outside the city, a place where she can hide until the network can move her. She changes clothes. She leaves the church through a back door into an alley into the night. She walks quickly, not running, but faster than before, because running is dangerous but staying is death. The streets are empty. Curfew. Anyone outside now is either German or dead. She moves through shadows, through alleys, through places where the patrols do not go. She knows the city now, knows its secrets, its hiding places, its wounds. She reaches the outskirts as dawn breaks. The farm is there just as the priest described. A barn, a house, fields of wheat. She approaches carefully, watching for signs, for soldiers, for anything wrong. A woman comes out of the house, old, weathered, carrying a bucket. She looks at Anna, nods once, goes back inside. Anna follows. The woman gives her food, real food, eggs and bread and milk. She gives her a place to sleep, in the barn, hidden in the hay. She asks no questions. She knows what Anna is, or guesses, or does not need to know. Anna sleeps. For the first time in days, she sleeps. Dreamless, heavy, the sleep of exhaustion. When she wakes, it is dark again. The woman brings more food. She tells Anna that the network is moving her tomorrow to another farm, closer to the coast. She tells her to be ready. Anna waits. She waits in the barn, in the hay, listening to the sounds of the farm, the animals, the wind. She thinks about the film in her pocket, the secrets that must reach London. She thinks about Klaus, somewhere in France, building his wall, fighting his war. She thinks about the capsule, always the capsule, waiting behind her tooth. Morning comes. A man arrives, young, with a cart full of vegetables. He is the next link in the chain, the one who will take her to the next farm. She climbs into the cart, hides under the vegetables, feels the cart jolt and sway as they begin to move. The road is rough. She smells the vegetables, earth and green, feels the sun through the canvas. She hears voices, German voices, a checkpoint. The cart stops. She holds her breath. Her tongue finds the capsule, ready. The voices argue. The man with the cart speaks French, bad German, the words of a peasant who does not understand why he cannot take his vegetables to market. The Germans laugh. They wave him through. The cart moves on. She breathes. They travel all day, stopping at farms, at safe houses, at places where people look at her and say nothing, and give her food and send her on. By nightfall, she is close to the coast. She can smell the sea, feel it in the air, hear it in the distance. The last farm is a small house near the cliffs. An old couple lives there, fishermen, their sons dead in the war, their daughter taken to Germany for forced labor. They have nothing left except each other, and this house, and the determination to help anyone who fights the Germans. They give her a room, a real room, with a bed and a window that looks out at the sea. She stands at the window, watching the waves, thinking about the invasion, the beaches, the boys dying somewhere along this coast. The old woman comes in. She sits on the bed, looks at Anna with eyes that have seen too much death. She asks if Anna is afraid. Anna says yes. The old woman nods. She says fear is good. Fear keeps you alive. It is when you stop being afraid that you die. Anna does not tell her about the capsule. She does not tell her that she has been ready to die since the moment she landed on this coast, that the only thing keeping her alive is the hope that her death might mean something. The old woman leaves. Anna lies on the bed, staring at the ceiling, listening to the sea. She thinks about tomorrow, about the boat that will come, about the journey across the Channel to England. She thinks about the film, the secrets, the information that will finally reach the people who need it. She thinks about Klaus. She will never see him again. She knows this now, accepts it, files it away in the part of her that is empty, that feels nothing, that does what must be done. He will live or die, love or hate, remember her or forget her. It does not matter. Nothing matters except the mission. She touches her cheek, the tooth, the capsule, still there, still waiting. She will not need it tonight. She closes her eyes. She sleeps. In her dreams, she dances. On a stage in a theater, in front of an audience that loves her. Klaus is there, watching, smiling. She dances for him, for herself, for the girl she used to be. The music swells. The lights blaze. She is beautiful. She is free. Then she wakes. The room is dark. The sea is loud. Somewhere in the distance, she hears gunfire, or thunder, or something she cannot name. She lies in the darkness, waiting for dawn, waiting for the boat, waiting for whatever comes next. The capsule waits with her. The boat comes at midnight. She hears it before she sees it. The soft dip of oars, the whisper of wood against water. The old fisherman stands beside her on the beach, his face invisible in the darkness, his hand on her arm guiding her forward. The sea is calm. Too calm, she thinks. Calm seas mean easy crossing, but calm seas also mean moonlight, visibility, German patrols. She has learned to distrust anything that seems too easy. The boat takes shape out of the darkness. Small, barely large enough for two. A fishing boat that has made this journey 100 times before. The man in it is young, younger than she expected, with the hollow eyes of someone who has seen too much. She wades into the water. The cold hits her like it did on that first night so long ago, when she crawled onto this coast with nothing but a dead woman's papers and a capsule in her tooth. The same cold, the same sea, the same fear. She climbs into the boat. The young man pulls at the oars. The old fisherman stands on the beach, watching, waiting, a statue in the darkness. She does not wave. She does not look back. She has learned that looking back is for people who expect to return. The boat moves away from France. She sits in the bow, her coat wrapped around her, the film pressed against her chest. The stars are out, thousands of them, more than she has seen in years. They remind her of something, some memory from before the war, before Lubyanka, before she became empty. She cannot reach it. It slips away like water through fingers. The young man rows in silence. He does not look at her. He looks at the coast, at the sea, at the sky, watching for patrols, for danger, for death. He has done this before. He will do it again, if he lives. She does not ask his name. Names are dangerous. Names are for people who expect to meet again. An hour passes. 2 hours. The coast of France is a dark line behind them, fading, shrinking, disappearing. Ahead, nothing but water and darkness and the hope of England somewhere beyond the horizon. She thinks about Klaus. She does not want to think about Klaus. Thinking about Klaus is dangerous, is painful, is pointless. But she thinks about him anyway. The way his hand felt on her face, the way he cried when she said yes, the way he held her in the night, like she was the only thing keeping him alive. She wonders if he knows yet, if he has returned to the apartment, found the ring in the drawer, realized that the woman he loved was never real, if he is sitting somewhere now, staring at nothing, trying to understand how he could have been so blind. She wonders if he will survive the war, if he will go back to Bavaria, to his mother, to the mountains he loved, if he will marry someone else, have children, grow old, if he will ever stop wondering what happened to the woman who wore his ring and lied with every breath. She hopes he survives. This surprises her. She did not know she could still hope for anything. She thought Lubyanka had burned that out of her, along with everything else. But here, in the darkness, on the sea, she hopes that Klaus lives, that he goes home, that he finds some kind of happiness in the ruins of his world. She hopes he forgives her. He will not. He cannot. What she did is unforgivable, and she knows this, accepts this, does not ask for absolution. But she hopes anyway, because hoping is what humans do, and she is still human. Despite everything, despite all her training, despite the empty space where her heart used to be. The young man stops rowing. He is listening. She listens too. She hears it. The drone of engines, aircraft somewhere above the clouds. German or British? She cannot tell. The young man waits, tense, ready. The engines fade. He resumes rowing. Dawn comes slowly. The sky lightens, gray at first, then pink, then gold. The sea turns from black to blue. And then she sees it, a line on the horizon, darker than the sky, solid where everything else is fluid. England. She has never been to England. She knows it only from files, from photographs, from the briefings they gave her before they sent her into France. London, the Thames, the parks, the buildings scarred by bombs. It is just another country, just another place, just another stop in a life that has been nothing but stops and starts and pretending to be someone else. But it is also freedom, or what passes for freedom in a world at war. The young man rows toward the coast. She sees cliffs now, white cliffs, glowing in the morning light. She has heard of these cliffs, read about them, seen photographs. They are beautiful, impossibly beautiful. A wall of white against the blue sea. She thinks about the other wall, the one she left behind. The Atlantic wall, built of concrete and steel, designed to kill. This wall is different. This wall welcomes. This wall protects. The boat reaches the shore. She steps out onto English sand. The beach is empty, peaceful, nothing like the beaches of Normandy where boys are dying even now. Even as she stands here, even as the sun rises on a new day. The young man does not get out. He nods at her once, and then he pushes the boat back into the water, climbs in, and begins rowing toward France. He will make the crossing again, tonight, tomorrow, as many times as it takes. He will bring more people, more secrets, more hope, or he will die trying. She watches him until he is a speck on the water, until he disappears into the glare of the sun. Then she turns and walks up the beach. There are people waiting. Soldiers, British, their uniforms strange after years of German gray. They look at her, this woman in a peasant's clothes, wet from the sea, carrying nothing but a coat full of film. One of them steps forward. He asks her name. She opens her mouth to say, Sofia Volkonskaya, the name she has worn for so long it feels like skin. But something stops her. Something in this place, this moment, this first breath of free air. Anna, she says. My name is Anna. She has not said this name aloud in years. It feels strange on her tongue, foreign, almost forgotten. But it is hers. It was always hers. The only thing the Lubyanka could not take from her. The soldier writes it down. He asks other questions, where she came from, what she carries, who sent her. She answers carefully, giving enough to prove she is real, holding back what they do not need to know. They take her to a building, a house near the coast, where other people in uniforms ask more questions. She gives them the film. She watches them take it, handle it carefully, carry it away to be developed, to be studied, to become part of the war. She waits. Hours pass. They bring her food, real food, more than she has eaten in years. They bring her clothes, clean clothes, clothes that do not belong to a dead woman. They bring her a bed, a real bed, with sheets that smell of soap and sun. She sleeps. For the first time since she left Russia, she sleeps without fear. No listening for footsteps. No watching the door. No capsule waiting in her tooth. Just sleep. Deep and dreamless. The sleep of someone who has finally, after years of running, stopped. She wakes to news. The film is extraordinary, they tell her. The maps, the photographs, the thin places on the beach. The information will save lives, thousands of lives. The invasion is only days old, and already her work has made a difference. She nods. She does not feel what she expected to feel. No triumph, no relief, no satisfaction, just emptiness. The same emptiness she has carried since Lubyanka, since the night she became someone else. They ask her what she wants to do now. She does not know. She cannot go back to France. Klaus will have reported her. The Gestapo will have her description. Every German in Paris will be looking for the woman who betrayed them. She cannot go back to Russia. Not yet. Not while the war continues. Not while her mother is still a hostage. She can stay here, in England, and wait. They find her a room in London. Small, plain, nothing like Klaus's apartment, or the hotel in Paris, or the farmhouses where she hid. But it is hers. She can close the door and be alone, and no one will come for her. She walks the streets of London. The city is scarred by bombs, buildings missing, gaps where homes used to be. But the people are alive, moving, working, fighting. They have survived the Blitz, the terror, the long nights of waiting. They know what she knows, that war is not glory, not heroism, not anything they write about in books. War is just surviving, one day at a time, until the days add up to something. She thinks about Klaus. She will always think about Klaus. He is part of her now, part of the emptiness, part of the weight she carries. She loved him. She did not mean to, did not want to, did everything she could not to. But she loved him, and she betrayed him, and she will carry that for the rest of her life. She thinks about her mother. She does not know if her mother is alive. She does not know if the Lubyanka kept their promise, if they fed her, protected her, let her live. She does not know anything except that the war continues, and she cannot go back. And she may never know what happened to the woman who gave her life. Because it is the last thing she has from. Because it is the last thing she has from that life, that other self, that woman who was not Anna. Perhaps because she is not ready to stop being ready to die. She touches her cheek. The tooth, the capsule, still there, still waiting. The weeks pass. The war in France continues. The Allies push inland, fighting through hedgerows and villages and the stubborn German defense. Paris is liberated finally after 4 years of occupation. She watches the newsreels in a cinema in London, sees the crowds cheering in the streets, sees the French flags flying from windows. She does not cheer. She sits in the darkness, watching, and thinks about the city she knew. The gray streets, the hungry faces, the fear in the air. She thinks about the church on Rue Daru, the priest who saved her, the old fisherman on the beach. She thinks about Klaus, somewhere in that chaos, fighting or fleeing or already dead. She will never know. That is the price of this life. You leave and you never know what happens next. The people you loved, the people you betrayed, the people who saved you, they become ghosts, memories, stories you tell yourself in the dark. Winter comes, the war drags on. The Germans fight for every mile, every village, every ruined city. But everyone knows how it ends now. It is just a matter of time, of blood, of bodies piled higher and higher. She gets a letter. From Moscow, official, the kind of letter that means someone is watching. Her mother is alive. She is in a hospital, recovering from malnutrition, but alive. The Lubyanka kept their promise. Her mother will be cared for, protected, given everything she needs. Anna reads the letter 3 times. She does not cry. She has forgotten how. But something loosens in her chest, something that has been tight since the night she left Leningrad, since the men in leather coats showed her the photograph and told her that mothers of traitors do not eat well in wartime. Her mother is alive. That is enough. That has to be enough. Spring comes. The war in Europe ends. She hears the news in her room on the radio, the voices celebrating, the bells ringing, the crowds cheering in the streets. She goes to the window and looks out at London, at the flags and the people and the joy she does not feel. The war is over. She won. They won. The wall is broken. The invasion succeeded. The Nazis are defeated. Everything she did, everything she sacrificed, everything she became, it mattered. It made a difference. It helped end the worst thing the world had ever seen. She should feel something. She feels nothing. She touches her cheek. The tooth, the capsule, still there, still waiting. She has not needed it. She has survived. She has done what she came to do. She is free. Free to do what? She does not know. She walks through the celebrating crowds, invisible, anonymous, one more face in the city of joy. People hug her, kiss her, offer her drinks. She accepts, smiles, moves on. She is good at smiling. She has had years of practice. She finds herself on a bridge. The Thames flows beneath her, gray and wide, carrying the city's secrets out to sea. She stands there for a long time, watching the water, thinking about another river, another bridge, another life. She thinks about Klaus. She will always think about Klaus. She accepts this now, the way she accepts the capsule in her tooth, the way she accepts the emptiness where her heart used to be. He is part of her, forever. The man she loved and betrayed, the man whose ring she wore, the man who cried when she said yes. She wonders if he is alive. If he went home to Bavaria, to his mother, to the mountains. If he married someone else, had children, grew old. If he ever thinks about her, the woman who lied with every breath, the woman who wore his ring and meant none of it. She meant some of it. She meant the way she held him in the night. She meant the way she listened to his dreams. She meant the way she hoped in the darkness that somehow it could all be different, that somehow she could be just a woman and he could be just a man, and they could have the life he imagined. But she was not just a woman, and he was not just a man. And the life he imagined was never possible. Not from the first moment. Not from the night she landed on that beach with nothing but a dead woman's papers and a capsule in her tooth. She touches her cheek. The capsule is still there. She runs her tongue over it, feels the tiny mechanism, the promise of peace. She has carried it for so long it feels like part of her, like a tooth, like a bone, like something she was born with. She does not need it now. The war is over. The mission is complete. Her mother is alive. She is free. Free to do what? She does not know. But she knows one thing. She knows she will keep the capsule. Not because she plans to use it, but because it reminds her of who she was, what she did, what she became. It is the last thing she has from that life, that other self, that woman who was not Anna and not Sophia, but something in between. She turns from the bridge. She walks back into the city, into the crowds, into whatever comes next. She does not know what that will be. She does not know if she will ever feel whole again, ever feel human again, ever feel anything except this vast emptiness where her heart used to be. But she is alive. She survived. The sparrow flew, and the sparrow lived. She touches her cheek one last time. The capsule waits. She walks on.